This is the face of a 27-year-old man that has just knocked out one of the greatest featherweights of all time. That featherweight we're talking about is no other than Alexander Volkanovski. Beating legends such as Jose Aldo, Korean Zombie, as well as Max Holloway 3 times, solidifies him as the top 10 greatest mixed martial artists of all time. Despite losing to Alexander Volkanovski 3 times and never having a win over him, as long as Volkanovski is champ, Max Holloway would never ever touch gold. Therefore, he decides to take his chance and move up to a different weight class, 155, lightweight. He decides to challenge Justin Gaethje for the BMF bout. Thankfully for Max Holloway, this worked out all well for him. After dominating Justin Gaethje in a 5-round war, Max decides to point down in the very last couple of seconds. The rest is history. After coming off one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history, Max Holloway decides to take on the newly crowned Ilia Topuria at 145. Unfortunately for Max Holloway, this wasn't the right move for him. He got knocked out for the first time ever in his career by Ilia Topuria. After coming off the 2 greatest back-to-back wins of all time, some might question, what is next for Ilia Topuria? Alright, fast forwarding a couple months, Ilia Topuria decides to move up to the lightweight division. He gets matched up against Charles Oliveira and obliterates. After coming off 3 of the greatest back-to-back wins in MMA history, and being Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, all by knockout. Some MMA fans argue that this man is on the trajectory of becoming the MMA GOAT. I mean, at this point, Ilia Topuria is like the 2011 Dirk Nowitzki, man. He first beats Kobe Bryant's Los Angeles Lakers, and then goes on to beat Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden's OKC, and then moves on to the final and beats LeBron James in the Miami Heat. Back to back. That's literally how it feels, man. So how did we get here, man? Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria in the White House. Like, first of all, this shouldn't have happened. It should have been Arman versus Ilia Topuria, but it happened. Justin Gaethje is now versing Ilia Topuria. A lot of the fans thought, man, this is gonna be an easy, clean sweep, man. Charles Oliveira already beat Justin Gaethje, in which Ilia Topuria did. Max Holloway already knocked out Justin Gaethje, in which Ilia Topuria knocked him out. So by that logic, Ilia Topuria should easily beat Justin Gaethje. Man, we all thought wrong. As you guys know, the White House card wrapped up a couple of days ago. Justin Gaethje puts on a masterclass against Ilia Topuria and makes him quit on the stool at the end of the 4th round. I mean, this was, for the most part, a one-sided beating. If you look at Justin Gaethje's face, man, like, you can't even tell that this guy went into a 4-round war against one of the greatest fighters of all time. Yeah, I'm gonna say it, bro. Ilia Topuria is genuinely one of the greatest fighters of all time. If you look at his resume, man, it speaks volumes, man. He beat Max Holloway, he beat Charles Oliveira, in which Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway beat Justin Gaethje. For that to happen, man, for Justin Gaethje to go out there and beat Ilia Topuria, you know, the guy that beat 2 of the people that he lost to, man, it doesn't even make sense, bro. And it made me wonder, what does it mean to be a GOAT? Is there a GOAT pipeline? And I was like digging it, and I think I truly have it figured out. Alright, let me explain to you guys like this. So these 5 people, Demetrius Johnson, Jose Aldo, Anderson Silva, John Jones, GSP, prior to, let's say, 2016, they were considered the consensus top 5 GOATs of the sport. The greatest of all time. So prior to 2016, I would say, these motherfuckers were the GOAT of the sport. However, all of a sudden, you know, some new faces showed up. It started with 155. How did we get to 155? Jose Aldo gets beaten for the first time ever in his career, Conor McGregor. Loses to him. One of the quickest title knockouts in UFC history. Afterwards, we all know that he loses to no other than Dustin Poirier 2 times. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the GOAT himself, Jose Aldo? Does that put him down? Or does that mean that Conor McGregor and people like Dustin Poirier go up in the GOAT list? You get where I'm going, guys? And then all of a sudden, Khabib Nurmagomedov, right, beats Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. He also beats Justin Gaethje. So if Dustin Poirier wasn't within, you know, the conversation, what does that make Khabib, right? He beat Conor McGregor, he beat Dustin Poirier, he beats Justin Gaethje. Where does that put him amongst the greatest of all time? Does that mean Jose Aldo is, you know, does that mean he drops down a bit, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden Khabib takes on Jose Aldo's position and becomes one of the top 5 GOATs? Or does Jose Aldo stay where he is? Alright, I mean, let's put it in this other perspective here, okay? Let's talk about 145. Okay, so obviously Jose Aldo loses his belt to Conor McGregor, right? However, this other guy by the name Max Holloway decides to show up. Obviously, Jose Aldo is back to being the king of 145. Max Holloway knocks him out 2 times. All of a sudden, Max Holloway is, up there in terms of featherweight GOAT status. So all of a sudden, Max Holloway is within realms of featherweight GOAT status. Max Holloway is the new king of the 145 division. Do I think that Jose Aldo losing to Max Holloway 2 times by knockout warrants him to be out of the top 5 GOAT conversation? No. However, we got another guy, Alexander Volkanovski. So this guy shows out of nowhere, basically becomes a villain of the 145 division and beats Max Holloway 3 times. So all of a sudden, the GOAT, 1 of 5. Let's just talk about Jose Aldo. Where does that place him? We got a guy that beat you 2 times already in being Max Holloway. And then we got another guy that shows up and beat the guy that beat you 2 times. 3 times. 3 freaking times, man. And similar to Khabib himself, we get another guy in being Ilia Topuria. Kind of shows out of nowhere and knocks Max Holloway out. He also knocks Alexander Volkanovski out. And the reason why I brought Khabib up is because we got a guy called Charles Oliveira, literally out of nowhere, and beats Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, pretty much back to back. So we got a guy over here in being Khabib Nurmagomedov. After he retired, people consider him the 155 GOAT, because prior to that, I know he's not on here. We got people like Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn. A lot of people say they're the 155 GOAT, but now guess what? We got a true 155 GOAT. He beat Dustin Poirier, he beat Conor McGregor, he beat Justin Gaethje. These are all-time, great wins. After he retired, we got a guy called Charles Oliveira and basically does the same thing that Khabib did. And guess what? This guy's on top of the world now. However, we got someone called Ilia Topuria. He first knocks out Volkanovski, he knocks out Max Holloway, moves up a division, and beat Charles Oliveira. Now all of a sudden, this guy is the fucking king. I mean, it gets to the point where Ilia Topuria is talked about as potentially being top 10 greatest MMA fighters of all time, despite only 3 all-time wins. I mean, look like this. Before Ilia, we had Jose Aldo on top of the food chain right here, okay? Max Holloway comes and beats him twice. And then after that, Volkanovski beats him 3 times. Now Volkanovski is all of a sudden the GOAT of the 145 division. So it went from Jose Aldo to Max Holloway after he beat him twice. There's still a debate over there, but let's just say Max Holloway beat him twice. He becomes the 145 GOAT, right? Volkanovski comes and beat Max Holloway. Now he's all of a sudden the GOAT. And now Ilia comes out of nowhere and beats Volkanovski, and now he's the GOAT. It's like a passing of torch. It almost feels like if B beats A, then B's the GOAT, right? And then C beats B, and now all of a sudden C's the GOAT. And then D comes along and beats C, and now all of a sudden Ilia's the GOAT. I mean, comparatively, since a lot of people consider Ilia Topuria as a top 10 fighter of all time, let's just say that. Then all of a sudden, Justin Gaethje comes and beats Ilia Topuria. Where does that rank Justin Gaethje? Where does he sit all time all of a sudden? Just because he beats a top 10 fighter, where does Justin Gaethje rank in all of this? Does that make Khabib's legacy a lot better? Does that put Charles Oliveira's legacy higher than it should be? Just because Charles Oliveira beat Justin Gaethje and then Justin Gaethje beat Ilia Topuria. So yeah, in short, everybody falls under this GOAT pipeline phenomenon. Everyone. I mean, it's important to note that just because this guy beat this guy, it doesn't mean that this guy is all of a sudden greater than this guy. Because all of a sudden, this thing can happen, whereas, fighter A beats fighter B, but then fighter B beats fighter C, but then fighter C beats fighter A. You just created a what the fuck moment. You know what I'm saying? The pipeline doesn't work, but yet everybody seems to be susceptible to falling for it. I mean, yeah, sure, the pipeline can indicate who the more skilled fighter is, the better fighter, I would say. So that's what the pipeline represents, but it doesn't represent the greater fighter. So when it comes to the GOAT debate, just because fighter C beats fighter B and fighter B beats fighter A, it doesn't all of a sudden mean that fighter C is greater than the previous 2 fighters. See, prior to Ilia getting finished by Justin Gaethje, a lot of people thought that Ilia would be the one to dethrone Jon Jones and GSP. But now, it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. Because I truly think the person that's going to dethrone Jon Jones and GSP will be no other than Max fucking Holloway after he beats